So the crazy thing is, this is like half a mile from the very spot where Las Vegas got started by Mormon settlers about 175 years ago. So all of this, crazy thing is, this Fremont Street thoroughfare with all of this, the birthplace of Las Vegas. All this got started by Mormon settlers 170 years ago, is literally maybe about a quarter of a mile right over there. It's just boom, right over there is where that fort was. I'm in Las Vegas and I have a really awesome space. I found this on Google Maps. It's not far from where I was at before. There's this big wall right here with a motel on the other side, just a long street here. There's an old beater RV that's down there, like serious beater with some guy that's been in it. So I'm parked a little ways down from him so I don't look like I'm kind of associated with that. And then sometimes there's a car that comes and parks there, but this big open field is awesome. It's awesome. I've been here for a couple of days, and so I've done a little bit of exploring of Las Vegas, and it's an interesting town. I went and explored an area called Red Rock Canyon, which is just basically due west of me. If we were to look, it's basically just kind of over the wall that way, about 10 miles. And it's really amazing. It's super pretty. So I went there on my scooter. It's scooter accessible. So those mountains at the edge of the valley that Las Vegas is in is where I'm going. There's a little town up there called Blue Diamond that I've always kind of wanted to go in and just see. So this is super interesting. I'm outside of Las Vegas in a little town called Blue Diamond. I've never stopped in here before. Check this out. Blue Diamond, a historic place. The village of Blue Diamond, near the base of the Spring Mountain Range in Red Rock Canyon, was originally known as Cottonwood Springs. Between 1830 and 1848, Cottonwood Springs was a stop on the old Spanish Trail for traders from Santa Fe to California. The trail became a wagon road, the old Mormon Road, in use until 1905 when the railroad was completed. So there was a train just like that up in Boulder City. I'll show you some pictures of that, of some of the old railway system that used to go through here. In 1855, Mormon missionaries mentioned salvaging wagon parts at Cottonwood Springs. Lieutenant George Wheeler's report in 1872 noted Paiutes growing pumpkins, melons, and corn here. An adobe house built near the springs sometime between 1880 and 1893 was in use until the 1960s, when it was abandoned and deteriorated. Love this. 10th annual Blue Diamond Village rummage sale. That's awesome. Oh, look at this. The Old Spanish Trail, 1829 to 1850. Stretching for 130 miles across Clark County, this historic horse trail became Nevada's first route of commerce in 1829 when trade was initiated between Santa Fe and Los Angeles. The trail was later used by the wagons of the 49ers and the Mormon pioneers. Concrete posts marking the trail were erected in 1965. Here's a hiking trail of some sort. It says Middle Oak Creek. Look at the view. Wow. Stunning. Just amazing. This is a hop, skip, and a jump from Las Vegas. I've actually been hiking up into one of these a few years back. You can see snow up the higher reaches. Just stunning. Stunning scenery. Check this out, the Old Spanish Trail, 1829 to 1848. Wow. Look at the valley in front of you and imagine it full of hundreds of horses. This was the scene in May 1840 after a particularly infamous raid occurred in California. Ute chief Walkera and several American mountain men raided ranches simultaneously from San Jose to San Diego. They used different routes to escape the authorities. Famous frontiersman William S. Old Bill Williams took part in this caper. He drove his share of horses back to Utah along the Old Spanish Trail. He hid out here while the animals recovered from their fast pace through the desert. Went down to a historical place here in Las Vegas because I had to dump my tanks, and I found a dump station at an RV place all the way across town. Like, it was all the way 15 miles across town, basically that way, and it was an arduous trip. Man, it was stressful getting over there, just driving through Las Vegas traffic, and the route ended up taking me through a bunch of like school zones, and some guy nearly ran into me and it really freaked me out. So, but I got my tanks dumped and I got fresh water because I was almost out of fresh water. And right by where I was at, clear over there in that area, is a historical site for Las Vegas, of the very origin birthplace of Las Vegas that was established in about 1855. Well, here is the old Mormon fort. This is where Las Vegas got started. This area was the original founding location of Las Vegas. There's a visitor center. I've been here before, but it's been a while. Look at this. In April 1855, Brigham Young, president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, called 30 men to leave their families and possessions in the recently settled towns of Utah to serve a mission in the Las Vegas Springs. The verdant meadows watered by the springs had been occasionally inhabited by the Paiute Indians for centuries. The water in the meadows made Las Vegas an important stop in the Spanish Trail, called the Mormon Road, after 1848. President Young directed this group of newly called missionaries to become self-sufficient, to provide a place of rest and security for the travelers between California and Salt Lake City, and to teach the Indians the gospel of Jesus Christ. In the heat of the summer, in June 1855, the missionaries arrived at this site. The mission, intended to be permanent, was the first Anglo-American settlement in Las Vegas Valley. So here is a recreation of what the original fort looked like. 1855 to 1857. And then over here, it became, from 1865 to 1881, got changed. Octavius Decatur Gas repurposed the ruins of the crumbling fort and ran the Las Vegas Rancho for over 15 years, supplying goods to nearby miners and passing travelers. By 1865, much of the original fort was undercut by erosion and had to be torn down. Gas replaced the entire north wall with a wooden fence, but was able to build out from the salvaged southeast bastion and east wall to construct the adobe building still on the site today. Wow. And then from 1881 to 1902, the fort became this. So this is it. This is where Las Vegas got started. And here is a sculpture of a woman named Helen, First Lady of Las Vegas. Helen J. Stewart, also known as the First Lady of Las Vegas, was a prominent figure in the early history of Las Vegas, Nevada. She was born in 1854 in Madison, Wisconsin, and later moved to Nevada with her husband, Archibald Stewart. Archibald Stewart was a rancher and a miner who purchased the Las Vegas Ranch, which included a small adobe fort, in 1882. After her husband's death in 1884, Helen Stewart managed the ranch and became a successful businesswoman in her own right. She invested in real estate and mining and also established a successful hay and grain business. Helen Stewart was also a philanthropist and a community leader. She helped to establish the first public school in Las Vegas. Helen Stewart lived in Las Vegas until her death in 1926 and is remembered as an important pioneer of the city's early history. Although she felt unprepared to run a ranch, Helen mustered courage and developed the talents and skills needed. She expanded the ranch to nearly 2,000 acres and developed large herds of cattle. Helen would become the First Lady of Las Vegas, well known for her kindness towards the Paiute and her eager, generous support of cultural and community activities. So this building right here is the oldest building in Las Vegas, still standing. It has remnants of the original 1855 structure that were here. This is super vintage Las Vegas. So this was reconstructed along the way, but parts of this used part of the original 1855 structure. Wow, that's hardcore. After a period of time, Las Vegas started to get built out because of Helen's efforts. Yeah, and that's part of the building right there that we're in. Wow, look at this. Clark's Las Vegas Town Site, 1905. And there it is. The humble beginnings of Las Vegas, Nevada. For a fort, the walls don't seem really high, but I guess they did exactly what they needed to do. And then over here, the woman at the front was telling me that this is kind of a recreation of what they think the creek would have been coming through this area, the natural creek, just to give a sense for the water. Oh, they've got fish in there, goldfish. Yeah, so the original creek would have naturally flown through here. 1850s freight wagon. Wow, that's intense. I mean, it's not dramatically large when you're inside of it, but it still gives you a sense about just the size of the area that kind of got Las Vegas going. So, just a hop, skip, and a jump over in that direction is the Fremont area of Las Vegas. It was really sort of the seedy underbelly of this city for a long time. Until recently, it's been going through a lot of re-renovation. From boomtown to tourist mecca. Wow, love this vintage photo. The decision by the federal government to construct Boulder Dam, Hoover Dam, had the far-reaching effects on Las Vegas. With money flowing in for the dam's construction, the city was spared much of the hardship of the Great Depression. Thousands of unemployed people poured into Las Vegas in search for jobs, swelling the city's population. In 1931, the Nevada legislature legalized gambling and reduced the state's divorce residency requirements to 6 weeks, developments that would have long-term implications for the city. During the next 2 decades, the city's population grew nearly 500%, spawned by gambling in World War II. Wow. Wow, check this out. Fremont Street, looking east. Here we are, Fremont District East. This place is really cool. Check out those seats. This place would probably be really fun at night. It's Evel Knievel's Pizzeria. And then across the street, you can see the Griffin there that looks clearly like super vintage, that 1970s brick. And just these random shipping crate containers down here with urban art all over them. It's so cool. This sign is just laying on the ground. Look at that old vintage photo. This is the area that I'm walking on. The Peter Pan Motel. Vacancy. So you can see here, down here in Fremont Street, some of these old hotels in this seedy part of town slowly being converted into public spaces. This to me is the most interesting part of Las Vegas. Down here you can see the Los Gables Court, one of these old motels back in the day when this was the really seedy part of town. So this would have been 50s, 60s, 70s. Look at this. So this whole area is just the part of town that would have been full of prostitution and drugs and the real underbelly of Las Vegas. And so many of these old hotels are being slowly converted over into new revitalized public spaces. Motel Fremont, wildest dreams. Boy, it would have been interesting to come back here in the 70s and look at this place. Motel, Travelers, air, pool. Yeah, this is super cool. Cool. I mean, the fact is, I don't know what they're doing with it, but just as part of the urban redevelopment, they've painted it, they've redone it. You know, they've even put a mannequin right there just to kind of give it an artsy feel. Just even if it's not a business doing anything, the fact that, you know, it's been repainted and remade just adds to the whole area. And the Motel Ferguson. Now, this has one of the most cool modern sculptures that I've seen here. Just wait till you check this out. This is super cool. Check that out. That is the neatest sculpture. So this is one of those old motels that's been converted into bars and coffee shops. So, Mothership Coffee Roasters. That is so neat. So this would have just been one of those old rundown motels that's now been converted into all of this. There's a, looks like a bar right there. And then there's just all these sort of random sculptures down here. Like, and that's so Las Vegas. The Golden Goose. Actually, it's a goose, yeah. In fact, it says that. The Golden Goose, established 1974. Oh man, this is like the coolest dog park ever. No one's in there with their dog, but that would be a fun dog park for some dogs. Oh, it's called the Hydrant Club. Dog Training and Social Club. That's fun. Fremont District. There is a great big pink slipper. There is the super cool praying mantis sculpture. check this thing out. How neat is that?
They got bike racks in here.
That is the neatest thing. There's this sculpture here of a heart. Everyone's written, somebody loves somebody. How fun is that? Here's the El Cortez Hotel. Such an interesting and quirky place.